First off, could you start by telling me what is ThinkGive and what inspired you to co-found it in 2013, over 10 years ago?
Yeah, 12 years ago. It's amazing. ThinkGive is a Massachusetts-based nonprofit. What we empower youth to explore who they are, who they want to be, and how they want to show up in the world. So we partner with schools and youth serving organizations to bring social and emotional learning to youth ages K to 8, so kindergarten to eighth grade, approximately 5 to 14 years old. These programs really focus on key skills like self-awareness, social awareness, and relationship skills that really promote emotional well-being and empowerment in youth. So we've served around 17,000 youth to date, and we partnered this year with over 70 schools and organizations, largely in the Boston area. So it's really awesome. And a big piece of our mission is to bring social and emotional learning to youth who might not be getting it in schools. So about 80% of the youth we're serving are under-resourced. So we started it, to answer your second question, just, on the fundamental belief that character shapes how we show up in relationships, in school, in work, and in our lives, right? It's like the foundation for everything. And on top of that, you can build success in academics and work, but it starts with your social and emotional skills, really, because they just interweave through everything. But traits like empathy, integrity, courage, kindness, these are not optional. They're essential in everything we do in life. And we noticed 12 years ago or 13, 14 years ago that there was this kind of gap in schools in terms of the programming that students were being offered. There was a lack of spaces where students could reflect on who they were, who they wanted to be, think about their character. Traditional programs were very adult-driven and task-oriented. They didn't really give the youth any agency to kind of create for themselves. And there was also this kind of bigger societal cultural shift. So like fewer families sitting down around the dinner table and talking about character issues, right? Moral issues. There was a bit of a loss happening in terms of kind of anywhere where kids could kind of think about who they wanted to be in the world. So we kind of created ThinkGive to fill that gap and just offer this space where youth can explore their identity, their values, they can build connections and relationships and discover that their actions and their choices matter.
You give kids the tools to pass the test, to study, but once they get out of school, if they go into higher education or they don't just take history facts with them. They have to learn how to move throughout the world.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about your collaborations with organizations and schools. You mentioned that you have over 70 schools, I believe, in Massachusetts and around the Boston area. Can you tell me about what schools you're working with and how that's going?
Yeah. So we've kind of grown every year. We work with not only schools, but we also work with out of school time programs. So youth serving organizations that have social and emotional learning in their goals or their mission, but they don't necessarily have an easy way to get there. So we partner with them. We also work with schools, and we train the trainer. We provide curriculum, really high quality curriculum. We provide support throughout the programs, but we're not going into the classroom or the out of school time space and actually teaching the kids. That is more important for an educator they know already to be teaching social and emotional learning. There can be a lot of vulnerability
Right.
around
It's
programming
about
like that.
trust, right? It's about, vulnerable kids. They need to have somebody to talk to that they trust, not just somebody who walks in
Yes.
who says they know, better than they do,
Yeah.
even if they do.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So, it's far more effective for an educator who knows the kids to be, you know, leveraging that relationship to teach social and emotional learning.
So, can you tell me a little bit more in depth about what emotional learning is and what is this curriculum that you guys have created to implement these skills more?
Yeah. So social and emotional learning, or SEL, is the foundational development of these core competencies that are kind of agreed upon. There's five of them. There's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And together, these competencies really equip individuals, not only youth, with the tools to understand themselves, connect with others, manage their own emotions, and navigate challenges. So, like being resilient in the face of a challenge in their lives, like that's social and emotional learning.
Mhm.
Um, so, SEL really isn't a nice to have, as it's being kind of oftentimes positioned in the past. It is an absolute, foundation for everything else that comes after. Research shows that it lays the foundation for academic success, emotional well-being, healthy relationships at home, in school, work, everywhere. Um, so our program teaches these skills through action. It's very action based. So the educator delivers a lesson, then the students actually go off in between lessons and take an action that's coming from them. So it's very much student driven. But these might be showing gratitude, including someone who's left out, or standing up for someone. It's driven by the theme of the lesson, but the students ultimately get to decide what they do. And then they connect their small but doable action back to those bigger ideas introduced during the lesson. So all of a sudden, these bigger ideas like empathy start to make sense when they actually realize they just practiced that. Like that was what it looks like in their life. So that's the other really important piece of our program. It's kind of a cycle that we go through. It's kind of like curriculum, action, reflection, and share, and then they move on.
Well, it's extremely important work, and thank you so much for reaching out to these students and doing the work that you do at ThinkGive. Could you tell our viewers where they could learn more about ThinkGive?
Yeah, so our website is thinkgiveproject.org, and that has a lot more about our programs, about how to volunteer. There's also, if you're an educator who you think this program might be interesting to bring into your space, there's a little short quiz you can take to see if you qualify for no cost programming. We provide all our programming to sites that are serving under-resourced youth at no cost. So they can see if they qualify there.
Well, thank you so much, Penny, for joining us today, and good luck with everything at ThinkGive.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time.